Okay, so we need to talk about constructed response because when I graded your guided constructed responses, quite frankly, I wasn't pleased with what I saw. However, what I did see, I think, is something that's easily corrected. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through the guided constructed response sheet from last week's class, from Monday's class. And I'm going to take you through it step by step. You need to revise this assignment and turn it in completed by the end of this week. So what I did with your guided constructed response is I broke it down step by step. The first page should have been your introductory paragraph. Basically, if you received the prompt, which was, how does the artist convey a particular mood in the image shown? You're going to have to respond to that, and you're going to have an introduction, you're going to have body paragraphs, and you're going to have a conclusion. All this sheet is an attempt to help you get each of those parts written correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of these individual parts. We're going to start with your introduction. Now, I broke your introduction down into two different areas, the introductory material and the thesis statement. A lot of you tend to want to put your thesis statement as your very first sentence of your introductory paragraph, and then you don't have anything else to include. So what you need to do in this case, since we're talking about a painting, is you need to describe the painting. Now, the instructions that I gave you say, write 3 sentences describing the image you've observed. Please be sure to identify the title of the work and the photographer or the artist. What got many of you into trouble here is your description was very vague or very minimalistic. For example, this is a painting of 3 people and a horse. Yeah, what were those 3 people doing? What are they wearing? What kinds of colors are there? If I can't visualize the painting from the images that you've described, then you haven't done a very good job describing that image. Be very clear, very descriptive, use lots of adjectives, that sort of thing, when you are introducing this work to your reader. So the next step is to write your thesis statement. What I'd ask you to remember here is that we have the thesis statement formula in title of work. Author uses specific literary technique, term, device to convey a specific thing, mood, tone, theme, meaning of the work as a whole, that sort of thing. Your thesis statement in this case should represent the mood that you believe is in the image. So what I should see as far as your thesis statement is, in this piece, the artist relays, and then I need you to give me a specific mood, and please do not write the phrase a specific mood. I need to know what that mood is through imagery. Specifically, what type of imagery? Sound, sight, taste, touch, that sort of thing. So you should have a very clear thesis statement in which you identify the specific mood that you're discussing, and which you identify how that is shown in the image. And in this case, of course, we're talking about sensory details and imagery. One thing that I want to remind you, mood is the feeling that you get from the painting. When you look at that painting, how does it make you feel? Several of you wrote some interesting things that didn't really represent a mood, and I think you were kind of confused about that. If you look at the chart that I had you do, and you look at the adjectives that I had you write, how does this painting make you feel? Several of you, I think, kind of confused the topic of the painting with the mood. Yes, this is a painting about hard work. That's true. However, hard work is not the mood. How do the people represented in this painting feel? How do you, as the person viewing this painting, feel? So that's what I'm looking for with the second part. The third step is where I ask you to choose the 3 senses that you feel are most expressive of mood. That was actually a fairly simple question that I think some of you just plain on misunderstood. What I should have there is sight, sense, sound, things like that, instead of words like hardworking. The second thing that's kind of concerning about your failure to identify the senses is that means that your body paragraphs didn't have the proper structure. What gets a lot of you into trouble when you're writing a timed writing, constructed response, on demand, anything, is that you don't give me enough evidence and you don't organize that evidence or structure it in the proper way. This particular prompt asks you, how does the artist convey a particular mood in the image shown? Now, if you just list one example of sign imagery, one sound image, one smell, whatever, you've really not gotten into that much detail. What I'm wanting you to do in this constructed response, your first body paragraph should be tied to the most expressive sense. So if you said sight is the most expressive form of imagery in your painting, which it is a painting, so sight imagery is going to be significant, then your first body paragraph needs to be about sight imagery. And if second you listed sound, then your second body paragraph needs to be about sound imagery, and so on and so forth. And I didn't really get that from a lot of you. So what we need to discuss now is how you're going to structure those body paragraphs and make sure that you get enough information in there to earn all of your points. Each body paragraph needs to begin with a topic sentence, and that topic sentence has to connect back to your thesis. So the structure of a topic sentence is actually going to be kind of similar to your thesis statement in and of itself. So body paragraph number 1 is going to be about the first sense that you identified. For this example, we're going to use sight. So my first body paragraph should identify that this is a paragraph that's going to discuss sight. It should identify whatever specific mood those sight images bring to mind. So when you write that sentence, don't write, the first sense that I'm going to talk about is sight. That's not an effective transition. You didn't mention the specific mood. Instead, you need to say something along the lines of, in the painting, the Gleaner's Malay uses sight imagery to bring to mind, and that's where you would discuss those adjectives for mood that you selected. Also, a problem in your body paragraphs is you just do not include enough evidence and you don't include enough analysis. For each image that you chose, you should have 2 full sentences describing what that means and the significance of it as it relates to your thesis statement. So for example, a lot of you for sight images talked about the 3 women in the field. Okay, so there are 3 women in the field. What's the significance of that? What is that supposed to bring to mind? Don't just say the 3 women in the field create a sense of sadness. Why would 3 women in a field make me feel sad? I need to understand why that image makes you in particular feel a certain way, because you need to understand that how you interpret a painting is not necessarily how I'm going to interpret that painting. And a lot of the points of view that I saw you all relate are points of view that were kind of unclear. Also, I do want to point out, this is a painting by a painter in France. Several of you in your essays discussed the fact that the women in the painting were African American slaves. They're not. This is a painting of French peasants. So you might want to clarify that in your essay responses as well. So just to reiterate, for each body paragraph, you're going to start with a topic sentence that clearly identifies the specific type of imagery that you're going to be discussing in that paragraph and how that relates back to your thesis, or specifically the mood that you're going to be discussing. You're going to have 2 to 3 pieces of evidence in support of that topic sentence, and for each of those you're going to have at least 2 sentences explaining the significance and how specifically, in specific detail, that relates that specific mood. Finally, your conclusion. which is a weakness for many, many writers, myself included. It's really difficult after you've put so much time and so much effort into an essay to come up with a conclusion where you say something that you have not already said. It's really important that you understand that a conclusion is not a restatement of your thesis. It's not a restatement of the prompt. That's a very weak conclusion. It's not going to score you very well. I want you to use the conclusion to tell me, so what? Why is your opinion important? Why should I care about that opinion? Make a connection to the real world. What's the significance of this painting? What message is he trying to convey to the world? I've read your essay. I've looked at his painting. What am I supposed to conclude? What is the message? What is the significance? What's the point of all the things that you just wrote? You need to make some kind of connection for me to take your written word in this painting and to move one step beyond. So in short, that's how I would like for you to complete your constructed responses. If you have any additional questions, I need for you to come in and see me in the mornings. I'm usually here by 7 a.m. I'm also here Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays after school until approximately 3:20 in the afternoon. Good luck.